Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the Toffee Blues end of season awards for 2023-2024. Obviously, a much improved season from the previous one, load of positives and a fair few negatives as well. So, a season of ups and downs is always going to generate a lot of content for this one. I've got Alex McMoney's joining me for the rundown of the awards. Alex and I both contribute to the Toffee Blues, as well as a fair few others, 23 contributors in total. And these awards have been drawn up by both cast by every single contributor to the channel. And that will, we've totaled them all up, and the highest vote from each one wins the award. So we'll get straight into it. And as we always do on the Toffee Blues, we'll get the negatives out the way first. First and foremost, the worst moment of the season award. Like I say, so many ups and downs in this season, so it could literally have been anything. The runner-up for this one, with 3 votes out of 23, was the moment when we were given the initial 10 points deduction, and I'm not surprised by that. Are you, Alex?
No, definitely not. No, I think that was a worrying time for all of us, wasn't it? I think we knew at the start of the season that there was a chance we were going to get a deduction, and we weren't entirely sure how well this group of players was going to cope with that. And so, yeah, obviously, and once it was such a heavy number, yeah, I think a lot of us were starting to worry quite a bit.
Yeah, certainly were, but not quite as much as we were worrying after the one that won this award, and that was, of course, with 12 votes out of 23. The winner of the worst moment of the season award is the 6-0 defeat to Chelsea in April. And I'm not surprised by that one either. If you were worrying after the 10 points in November, I think we were all really starting to bite our nails by mid-April when we got whacked at Chelsea on the Monday night. That was painful, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like you say, I think that was probably the only moment all season where I was really starting to worry, and it was kind of that. It seemed like it might have been one of those turning point moments, but obviously in the end, it kind of had the opposite effect. Really, you could argue both of these moments were almost served as catalyst, really, where Deitch kind of started again, and and got the players going again, and it was like that kind of fresh slate, clean slate or whatever, and making a
Kick
fresh
up the
start. And
backside, you kick up the backside, I
yeah,
call him. Like,
yeah, exactly that. And like I say, I think you watch the Chelsea game back, and you remember the moment early on where Beto missed that golden opportunity where it was played right across and somehow missed. It was one of the I think it was one of the highest XG misses all season in the whole Premier League. And like I said, we started really well, and then Cole Palmer just kind of started to run the show a little bit, and yeah. Um, I say it was one of them where like I think like the more it went on, our confidence just seemed to deflate more and more, and Chelsea just took advantage of that really. And yeah, obviously a 6-0 defeat is always is always a worry, definitely.
well, I was worrying enough for 12 of our 23 contributors to vote it's into first place there. So that's the worst moment of the season. Done and dusted and out the way. Um, then, of course, on the contrast, we've got the best moment of the season award. 23 votes, of course. The runner-up only got 1 vote apiece. Those 3 moments where Lewis Dobbin's goal against Chelsea, the winning streaks, and the win against Brentford, of course, which secured safety and confirmed us as safe for this season with a month to spare, which is all, of course, brilliant moments. But you won't be shocked to know that the best moment of the season award, 20 votes out of 23, is the win in the Merseyside derby. And I don't think this one was never really that much up for debate. I think
Yeah, like I
20
said, there's
votes out of 23, it's unanimous, really, isn't it?
yeah, there's not going to be like many moments this season that have their own song about them and stuff. That's going to be, I imagine, sung like throughout next season and probably going forward until we have another night as good as that. Really, yeah, it was one of them where like obviously we had the derby win a few years ago at Anfield, but obviously there was no fans there. It wasn't quite the same feeling. It felt a little bit hollow at the time, and it's obviously one that like Liverpool fans like to beat us over the head with that wouldn't have happened if there was a full Anfield there or whatever. But this one, no one can take away from us, and it was just such a good night all round, a really like strong performance and a deserved win that obviously had big impacts on our season and also Liverpool. So yeah, like I say, the feel good factor after that one made it, as you said, a clear number one for best moment this season, definitely.
Hard to be topped, really. And I just think it was 13 years since the last one as well. We've gone so long without one, and it just felt like Goodison deserved one more derby win, I think, before we left. And hopefully, maybe there's another one next season. You never know, but just to get that win at Goodison again and like have a night like that before it goes, because it's not here for much longer, and I think that was a really good derby win at Goodison, like ones of old when we used to win them more regularly. But it was just a brilliant night, and the aftermath of that, the days afterwards, it was just a brilliant like energy around the club, which we haven't had for so long. It was just everything you could ever have asked for in one football match. So I'm not surprised that 20 out of 23 have voted this one into first place. So yeah, the best moment of the season goes to the Merseyside derby winning and colour me shocked. Next up, we've got the Most Improved Player of the Season award, and couple of names bandied around. So obviously, 23 votes were cast. Some shouts out for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ben Godfrey, and Jared Brantwaite, who I think all got one vote each. In second place, it was James Garner, who got 2 votes out of 23. And a runaway winner on this one as well. The most improved player with 18 votes out of 23 was Vitaly Mikalenko. And again, fair play, because he has had an excellent season, even though he was a bit hit and miss. He didn't even start the season. I think the first few games Ashley Young started at left back, so he was kind of out of favour. He's worked his way back in, and I've always been a big fan of Mikalenko ever since he came in. I think I've been one of his biggest supporters, and I'm glad to see that he's got back into the starting 11 and kept himself there, because he put in some really good performances this year. I thought he was rock solid, and I think it's just nice to feel like the back line felt a lot more settled, maybe with the exception of right back, but the two centre backs and Vitaly Mikalenko were excellent this season. I think he really deserves that award. What about you? Will your take on Mikalenko?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I say, I think he had a decent start to his Everton career, and then I think he was struggling quite a bit during the 2022-23 season, like most of them were, to be honest. But obviously, it's been reported how much he was struggling with injuries and stuff, and I think that time where he was out at the start of this season. He had some sort of like surgery or whatever it is, and seems to have sorted that issue out, and his performances are noticeably improved. And I think it's just one of them where, like, there were a lot of people writing him off, saying he wasn't good enough and that. And I think it's one of them where maybe as fans sometimes we need to acknowledge that we don't always know what's going on behind closed doors and stuff, and we don't get the full picture all the time. And I think this season he's shown just what a good player he can be, and as you say, has really contributed to just how much improved we've been defensively this season, definitely.
Yeah, he's excellent. So I think a very much deserved win for that award there. Vitaly Mikalenko been voted the most improved player of the season. Next award is one of the more closely fought battles in this list, and it's the underrated player of the season. So again, the votes are thrown around a lot more in a more scattergun approach, should we say. There's a few shout outs for third place and below. We've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Decore, Amadou Onana, Ashley Young, Mikalenko again, Beto, and Andre Gomez as well. So many different names thrown around, but the two, well, actually, we've got a joint second place with 3 votes out of 23 apiece, with Dwight McNeil and James Tarkowski. And, both. I mean, I wouldn't even say they're underrated. I think by our fans, they're certainly rated highly, but certainly beyond the walls of Goodison, I don't think they get the credit they deserve at all. Many people are saying, should James Tarkowski have been in the England squad? We're not for his age, and probably the fact that he's been written off because of who he plays for. You'd argue, yeah, on form he should be, but Lo and behold, we'll be watching Lewis Dunk pulling on the Three Lions this summer, so we'll see what goes on there anyway. But from an Everton standpoint, yeah, I think Tarkowski and McNeil have been excellent. But unsurprisingly, and always been known as one of those unsung heroes. Um, Even from his first into Everton, the winner of the underrated player of the season was Idrissa Gana Gueye. And again, so massive in the running, got a few goals as well. Added some goals to his game, and always throws his weight around, covers the ground, even like well into his 30s now. He's so fit, he covers all the ground, he battles, and he's such a crucial player to have in the situation that we find ourselves in. I think he's been bringing him back was a brilliant move. We didn't make many great signings while Lampard was here, but bringing Gay back was a really good move, I think. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And I think yeah, like I said, I think people really started to realise his importance towards the end of the season. And as you say, he was starting to weigh in with a few goals at that point, which obviously was something we've not really been used to while he's been at Everton. But more than that, as you say, the energy he brings to us, and that now that I think he didn't really have when he was at us in his first spell, but he's probably picked up while playing with like world class players at PSG. And that, yeah, like I said, that experience he now has, being one of the older players in the group, I think has been really important to us. And, it shows just how much he's improved, and um how much the fans were starting to rate him towards the end, and that it was clear like that a lot of people wanted him to sign a new deal and be offered a new deal, and get his contract extended, which has obviously has happened now, and we're going to have him again next season, which I think is
Fantastic
going to be
news.
really crucial for us, definitely. Yeah.
And say that again. I think, like you say, he he was suspended for the 6-0 win against Chelsea. I think, or he was injured, one or the other, and we really missed him in that game. He came back in against Forest and got the winner. And that I think that was it. Then I think he was such a massive figure in that final month of the season that that's he's almost single-handedly the reason why we were safe before we even got into the month of May. So you know, the unsung hero so often, but he very much came to the forefront. I think this season towards the end, and I'm like we've just said, we're so happy that he's sticking around for another season because he's been fantastic for us in both his stints. I think he's an absolute asset to the club.
Yeah, definitely, completely agree.
Yeah, there you go. Idrissa Gana Gueye is the underrated player of the season. Next one, game of the season. There isn't even a runner-up on this one. Safe to say, 23 out of 23, I think, went to the Merseyside derby winner Goodison. Again, it's hoovering up the awards, I think, this year, but not without good reason. Like we went through it before, but what a night it was. And, you know, we obviously weren't expecting much from it, and to come away with the win, and that virtually secured safety. We only needed one more win to be safe after that. And I think the sort of bitter elements of it have dented Liverpool's title pursuit as well. So it was all a bit. It was all everything we as Everton fans could have asked for rolled into one football match, like I say before. And yeah, there you go. You've got your first absolutely unanimous win there, 23 votes out of 23 for the Merseyside derby as Everton's game of the season. And again, no shots at all. Goal of the season next. This one more hotly contested. Obviously, a few good goals. I can say actually, looking at the winner and runner up, the one I voted for didn't even get on this list. So this is how scattered around this one was. And in second place, the runner up for this award was Jack Harrison's first goal for Everton against Bournemouth in October at Goodison. A brilliantly taken goal, first time volley in off the bar. It was Jack Harrison really announced himself at Everton in that game. What was your take on Harrison's performance this season, and that goal in particular was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and like I say, I was sat in the park end behind it, and it was one of them where when he hit it, I had no idea where it was going, but the last place I expected it to go was where it landed, like in off the crossbar. I was just like, blimey, what a strike that is, And yeah, like I say, I think I completely agree. He really those first few games. I remember. I think his debut was the Villa Cup match when we won 2-1. Remember, he had a really good game there. And
Yeah.
then yeah, getting the goal against Bournemouth, like you say, I think he started really strongly for us. And I think there was inconsistent patches definitely, and he's one of those players where watching Walcott actually in Soccer Aid the other day, it reminds me of Talisson a bit, like that decision making, like even in that charity game, Walcott just you could constantly see just making the wrong decisions all the time, and Harrison reminds me of that a lot, really. I think the quality is there, and when he makes the right decisions, it often leads to something really positive for us, and he weighs in with goals and assists. It's just that decision making that I think hinders him at times.
But yeah, Harrison's the runner-up, the winner of goal of the season. Again, we're going back to that game again. It's Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal in the derby. Obviously, a towering header, corner. I think well, the street in the derby. I mean, it doesn't really get much more vintage Everton than your number 9 banging a header in at the back stick in a Merseyside derby. It's just fantastic to see, and a massive moment for us. It was 2-0 up, and we go on to win the derby. So it's as much, I think, the value of the goal as much as the quality of it. Um, it's won 9 votes out of 23. So again, not like this was a lot much more hotly contested award, but still, we have to say Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a worthy winner there. I mean, any moment from that Merseyside derby, everyone's going to be quickly jumping on board with the votes. So
Yeah.
Merseyside derby gets its third award of this run down here. So, and I'm pretty sure there will probably be something else later down the line, but we'll see. Next up, we have got the annual award of Everton Icon of the Year. This is the time where we name an icon um, from Everton, past or present. Every contributor gives their favourite Everton icon, with the exception of players who we've already had. Previous winners of this have been Howard Kendall, Duncan Ferguson, Tim Cahill, Leighton Baines, and Seamus Coleman. Like I say, with the exception of Seamus Coleman, all former players, but Seamus Coleman was last year's winner, and again we've gone for a present player, and this year's Everton icon is Jordan Pickford, and I think he's increasingly making his mark at Everton every year. He cements his status as a club icon. I think what he's offered to us, particularly in the last few years, where we've not had a lot to shout about, and we've often found ourselves on the back foot. We've needed a goalkeeper who stands up and is countered, and he's done that and then some. Um, your take on that award?
Yeah, like I say, you can't have any complaints about about him winning that award. You could, I think it's hard to argue anyone having more importance for us over the last few seasons than Jordan Pickford. Like throughout this struggle with relegation, he's really stepped up, been a leader from the back, and just really kept us in so many matches with just so many incredible saves. And I think it's such a strong bond he feels with the supporters. Um, for so many seasons now, for whatever reason, neutral fans have been bashing him or whatever, saying he's not good enough for the England number 1 position, and yet throughout, he's obviously kept it because he's clearly the best goalkeeper in the country, like
By a
for
country mile.
but by an absolute mile, yeah. And like I say, and us fans now, we had a really sticky patch at one point, but ever since then he's been near faultless for us, and our fans always want to let the others know just how good he is, and I think for that, he's repaid that loyalty tenfold, really. Like I say, so many important saves over the last few seasons that have made all the difference.
Absolutely. So, and I think he's one of the few, probably the only player you can say in our team who's probably one of the best in the world in his position. You can't really say that about anybody else in this team, that's for sure. And the fact that, in a similar sense to perhaps Duncan Ferguson in his stint in the 90s, he's been a sort of shining light in a really dark period. I think that's where his icon status is probably coming from. But I think he's a very worthy winner of this award.
Yeah, definitely is. Like I say, has such a strong connection with the supporters, definitely, and will be remembered, for a long time to come, definitely.
Brilliant character and definitely an icon. He's really cemented his status year on year and a worthy winner. Right, so we're down to our final four awards, and they're all the Player of the Season outright wins. First and foremost, we've got the Women's Player of the Season, and we'll be heading over to Kira, who's going to announce our Women's Player of the Season. So over to you, Kira.
Hey Blues, I'm Kieran. I'm here to announce the Toffee Blues Women's Player of the Season. Now, it's going to go to Ireland International Courtney Brosnan, our goalkeeper, our number one. She's been phenomenal all season, and I just think she's brilliant. She's put out performance after performance after performance, kept us in quite a lot of games as well. Obviously, covering for Emily Ramsey, she's played most games this season, with Emily Ramsey being out with a couple of injuries. She's just been phenomenal, and she did win Everton's official player of the season as well. So, always nice to know you're backed up by the club. But yeah, amazing player, an amazing season for her, some standout performances, as well as playing for a national team. She's done phenomenal, and I can't wait to see more of her soon, and hopefully we get a new contract extension.
Thanks for that, Kira. So we're on to our final three. First and foremost, our under-21s Player of the Season. Now, this is a tough one because I don't think the under-21s had a particularly good season. We were quite low down the development league. But the award for this one goes to Jensen Metcalf, who got 2 goals and 4 assists. I think that tells you how lean things were in the under-21s this year. But he did make the first team bench a fair few times, and that was from midfield. So he's still probably done better than a fair few of our first team midfielders in terms of his goal contributions from midfield. So, he's one of the few who's been kept on, I think, as well. He spoke about, well, a lot of us spoke about Lewis Warrington and Mackenzie Hunt and players like that going this summer, not having the contract renewed, but I think he'll be here next season. So you never know. He might be one to keep an eye out, and maybe he can get a breakthrough, particularly if we can't sign too many players. I think I'd like to see the kids get more of a go, but with him winning this award, he's probably one of the more likely to be getting a look in next season if there's a chance of that. But yeah, Jensen Metcalf is the under-21s Player of the Season. Second to last award is the Young Player of the Season. It's going to be anyone under 23. There's 23 votes, and there's 23 votes for one person. There's no prizes for guessing that. Our Young Player of the Season is Jared Branthwaite. Again, one of the most there was never any doubt about this one, was that he's, out of all our younger players, he's definitely been the one that's made the most impact. What a fantastic season he's had. And why is he not in the England team?
Yeah, that's it. I thought the England conversation might be rumbling on towards the end again, but yeah, like I say, obviously, we saw how well, at least we were hearing just how well he was doing over at PSV last season, and there was talks about him coming in this summer, coming into the first team, and being given a bit of a go. And obviously, we had those first few games of the season where he wasn't quite ready yet after being with the under-21s, and we had to endure a few more games with Michael Keane at the back, but ever since then, but I don't think anyone could have expected just how seamlessly he'd fit in, and the partnership that he's formed with James Tarkowski, and the maturity that he's shown at just such a young age, and just how much quality he's displayed. In his first full season in the Premier League, he's just he's fitted right in, and been one of our best players, one of our most important players, definitely. And obviously now the fight one was on to try and keep hold of him. And, obviously it might very well be that we have to sell him, like, depending on how bad our financial situation gets. But, no one could take away the fact that he's had an absolutely superb season for us. And yeah, should definitely be on that plane to Germany.
Yeah, and if he knows what's good for him, if he is leaving, don't be going to Manchester United, for God's sake. Do better than that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we weren't that far behind Man United in the league if you take away points deductions. So I think he's a Rolls Royce of a player, and I think he's going to be, if he leaves us, it should be for one of the real elite clubs at the moment. I think that's really the caliber of player we're talking about, and I think he is by a mile. Like, I think he's got to have been the best English centre-back this season, apart from perhaps Tarkowski. So, I think they've been fantastic. They've heard them. Brantwaite's really come on leaps and bounds, and he should definitely have been on that plane. But, little look into the mind of the Gareth Southgate there. We'll see how that pans out for, our country's prospects this summer. But, Mina keeps him fit, I guess, for next season. Fingers crossed, and he can have a good pre-season with us, or we'll see what future holds for Jarrett Brantwaite. But a very, very deserved award of Young Player of the Season with all of the votes. So, yeah, absolutely unanimous. And finally, onto the big award, the biggest one of all, the Player of the Season award. The runners-up in third place. In third place, going for the Player of the Season outright, it was Jarrett Brantwaite. Not content with giving him the Young Player of the Season. 2 people voted for Player of the Season. And again, you couldn't really argue with that because he's been that good. As I was saying, it was the partnership with James Tarkowski, and James Tarkowski comes second with 3 votes out of 23. And again, it's all about how good our defence has been this season. Of course, this is why we did so much better than we did the previous year. Brantwaite and Tarkowski are third and second, respectively, which leaves 18 votes out of 23 to go to the man between the sticks again. It's Jordan Pickford winning the Player of the Season. I think for maybe the second or even the third year running now, Jordan Pickford has won the Player of the Season. We've just spoke about him as an icon, and this is why his performances have been outstanding. He is England's undisputed number one. I don't care what any of these goons in the media say. He's not. The other goalkeepers in England aren't going to hold the torch to him at this moment in time. And a very deserved win. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, we've touched on it earlier, but so many just crucial saves, and and as I say, I think more just in addition to that, just how much he's become a leader. I think obviously, I think he was vice captain last season. That mantle was taken away from him and given to James Tarkowski this season, but that hasn't stopped him. Being a leader from the back, and he even interacts with the crowd and whatever, and gets us up when when we need to be picked up and whatever. And yeah, as we say, it's just been absolutely outstanding. And you think of the saves, the ones against Sheffield United, right at the end of the game, that rescues a point and stops us suffering the indignity of losing to Sheffield United, but that was a very real possibility. And the one at Fulham, which I think was a contender for save of the season in the whole Premier League as well, just outstanding. Yeah, outstanding saves all round. And yeah, like I say, I think that has got to be 3rd season in a row, hasn't it? So just shows how much he's stepped up these last few years when we've been up against it.
Yeah, he's really kicked on. Probably he is one of the best keepers in the world. I think at the moment he's got to be up there within that conversation now. I think he's been that good for us, and certainly for England as well. I don't doubt that he'll have a big part to play. If England is to have any chance of going a long way, he'll have to have a good tournament, and I don't doubt that he'll perform. He always brings his best game for the biggest games. I think when it matters most, he does seem to really relish those kind of battles. So, who knows what him and England has achieved this summer. But yeah, we'll leave it at that anyway. We'll leave it at that. Jordan Pickford is your Player of the Season yet again. That is the end of the awards ceremony. Let us know your opinions on the awards. Would you have voted differently? Get us coming in with your comments. Give this video a like and subscribe for more content over the summer. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching on the Toffee Blues.